So, welcome to our very first workshop, and we're super excited. And thank you all for coming. And I hope those of you who aren't here now will watch this and catch up. So, today we are very lucky to have Darkroom with us, specifically Giorgio Karam, who is actually one of the co founders of Darkroom. So, we're really blessed. And really, the 14 of you who are here are really, really lucky. And yeah, actually, Gio is an Alba film student, and we were just talking about that. And he used to develop film in his room, but eventually, and thankfully for us, it turned into dark room. And yeah, you can take it from here. And thank you so much for being with us again.
Thank you for having me. It's our it's our first online workshop, and the first time we give an alternative printing workshop. Unfortunately, these aren't the best conditions. We would have loved to have you here at the dark room because it's a very handy workshop. Really, you have to there's a lot of trials, there's a lot of failures, and I can promise you that there is going to be a lot of failures, failed attempts. So bear with it, and خلاص, we'll get straight in. And just to be clear, I'm gonna explain the steps and go through the processes, the different processes. You might not be able to follow as I go because obviously you need to dry the paper, and there's steps that need a lot of time. So I'm just gonna give you the steps, explain everything, and you take your and you do it on your own. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us, come over, and we'll help out Akid. And hopefully we'll have some workshops here at the Darkroom. You can come assist them if you feel that one of the processes interested you. So okay. So I'm going to start with the first process, which is called chlorophyll process, chlorophyll printing. And in this process, we're actually, just another note, all the processes that we're doing today are completely organic. So as you know, in film photography, we use a lot of silver, and silver is quite harmful for nature. And so instead of using silver as our sensitizer, we decided to choose more biological or eco-friendly sensitizers. And the first step in chlorophyll prints, we're going to use actual leaves. So in the leaves, what we're going to make use of is the chlorophyll inside. So chlorophyll is as you know, I don't know if you had in biology or biology major or agriculture. Chlorophyll is the pigment that turns the leaf green. So we're gonna play on this this effect, and we're gonna take this leaf. I'm gonna show you the steps here. This is one trial we're doing. It hasn't dried. This process takes a lot of time, and it depends on the leaf you choose and all of this. So I don't know if you can see. There's an image that starts to form. I think it's upside down. There you go. You can see the black here. This leaf needs to dry completely. It hasn't dried. So okay. So let's start. First of all, there's specific kinds of leaves you need for this process, and I've written them down. They're difficult to pronounce. There's the Kaya lily, the orchid leaf, any alocasia leaf, or banana leaves. I guess banana leaves are the easiest to find, and the alocasia, which are these leaves. You can find them at the local flower shop, and I bought a couple of them. And you can get the leaves so that you don't have to pay for them, because yep. Okay. So how this process works? You're gonna need a film positive, and it doesn't need to be a film. It can be a regular a digital negative you can create at home. Are you all familiar with Photoshop or any editing software for images? Everyone's muted. Okay, cool.
You can raise your hand if you're familiar.
So do you want me to show you how to create these negatives or positives? Okay, you got this done, and it's very simple. You just place the negative on your leaf, and you have to put it in a frame and apply pressure. And you put it in a wooden frame, and it's very important for it to be wood. You don't want to use an absorbent substance on the back because you don't want to the leaf or the back of the frame to absorb all the humidity, or else the leaf will dry too fast, and that is very important. If it dries too fast, you won't expose your image. It's just going to dry, and there's not going to be an image on the leaf. So, yep. So a bit of science notes on this process. When you put your image on the leaf, anything that's black is going to conserve the greens in the plant, because sunlight's not going to be able to reach this place, so it's going to conserve the chlorophyll. Whereas everything around or everything in the image that's clearer will be affected by sunlight, so it would dry faster. So you'll have this pattern, this two colors. So you're gonna get the yellow dry color of the leaf, and you're gonna get a green in the inside. This is gonna create the image. I wish I have something to show you, but it really takes time, and it depends on the leaf. Sometimes it can take 2 days. Sometimes it can take literally 4 weeks. So it's a trial and error process with these, but I can assure you you're gonna get beautiful images, and you can check a lot of end results online if you want. Okay, so that's for exposing this print, and if you want to preserve it, you can not preserve it, but obviously when the leaf will deteriorate with time. So to preserve it, you can dip it in an alcohol bath for like 20 minutes, and then you can use copper sulfate. You can find copper sulfate in local chemical factories. There's a lot of factories, and you can find it here at the darkroom if you ever need to. You have to dip it in a 15% copper sulfate solution that we prepare here, so you can just come and take the solution ready. You dip it for another 20 minutes, and then you wax. It's very important to wax, and you can use the wax for like paintings. The wax they use for paintings, you can use it. Okay, so that's that for this process. It's very easy. And you have to put it under sunlight. And it's very simple. So moving on to the next process, we've got anthotypes. So anthotypes comes from the word antho, which is Greek for flowers. This process was created by John Herschel in the 19th century. They discovered this photosensitive property of dye inside the petals of flowers. So for this process, I'm going to show you a bit. I'm going to show you how to work with this. Okay, so let me get my stuff. So usually you have to gather petals or even spinach. Spinach works, or anything that has chlorophyll. So the same leaves that you use for the chlorophyll printing, you can use them for this process. You have to okay. So you have to really mash them up. You can mash them up in two ways. Either using a piston and a mortar, or using a blender. Both have it's the same result. It just differs if you want to exercise or not. That's the difference. The piston and mortar takes a bit of time. But it's so much fun if you have some friends around, put on some music, and you like. Actually, that's what we did here at the Darkroom. I don't know if you checked Yara, my partner's stories. We put some music and we started stomping on the flowers, and we finished it in like 5 minutes. We had a huge bulk of petals we did. So what we do, we mash them up, and then you get a sieve or some coffee filters. And I like to use coffee filters because they strain the liquid a lot more. And then when you put the petals inside, or your the stuff you mashed, and then you can close it and really squeeze it from the bottom so you can get all the juice out. Because if you use a regular sieve, you know, the ones you have in kitchen, the metal ones, some of the leaves will drop into your liquid, and you don't want that because it's going to create stains and on the image. And when you expose, the small bits will appear like small white dots on the image, or dark dots actually in this process. Okay, so I've actually prepared some juice here. This is, I guess, this is a rose, petals from a rose, and some wild flowers I found right next to the garden. I've spent the entire day yesterday picking up flowers. Yep, and okay. So let's see. I'm just trying to check if I have something to show you today, but I guess I'm out of petals. Anyways, we'll do it with the turmeric. Yeah. So I'm going to show you another way. There's one plant that you can use. That's not plant actually. It's a spice called turmeric. You can find it in your mom's drawer in the kitchen, spices, or if you live alone, and I don't know if you have it. You can find it at the local store. It looks like this. It's very yellow. It's very smelly. In Arabic, we call it عقد صفرا. Yep, it's in this process you have to wear gloves because it dyes everything. I literally dyed my fingers yellow by the past week, and I can't get them off. So, okay, I'm gonna show you the process. So, and for this you're gonna need turmeric. And what I use, instead of using alcohol from the pharmacy, I use either cheap vodka or arak. So since arak is cheaper, I have arak. We're not stingy. We just it's difficult times. So I'm gonna prep everything here. So did anyone have a question, by the way?
Well, it wasn't much of a question. I was just gonna actually say that for the anthotype, you can use anything with high pigmentation rather than high chlorophyll.
Exactly.
So you can have like turmeric, as you just mentioned. You can have what's it called? Beetroot. So you can use like beetroots. So yeah, but you already mentioned it, so I'm just gonna shut up now.
No, it's okay. It's okay. If you have to add, go ahead. I'd love to for this interaction. And you reminded me of the beetroot actually. Yes, beetroot, you can also squeeze beetroot, but beetroot takes like a lot of time to expose. So I'm giving you like, this is the fastest. Turmeric is the fastest thing it can take up to a day to expose properly. So that's why I'm showing you this now. But you can find, you can talk to me later and I can give you a long list of flowers and stuff you can mash up for this process. There's a lot of and you have to actually try because it really depends on the weather. It really depends on the humidity, the plants you're using,
the sun.
The sun, exactly. And I've had the past week a lot of clouds, so I couldn't process anything. I actually processed in my UV box. I'll show you that at the end.
Nice.
So let's get into the process. You need a cup, and it's better to use plastic or glass for this process because, especially with turmeric, because it dyes, as I said, very, very fast. So here you go. The quantities, you don't need the exact quantities, so you just can take a spoon of turmeric, put it in the cup. Can you see? I'm gonna lower my camera a bit so you can see the table. And then you literally pour araq. Like you should get a gravy pasty liquid at the end, so you can sieve. So why do we use alcohol here? When we're mixing and we need to mash, we mix them with alcohol because it's easier to get the pigmentation out of the plant. And why we use araq or denatured alcohol or cheap vodka in the turmeric process is because it helps release something called curcumin or kurkum in Arabic. And this is the dyeing, this is what dyes everything actually. Kurkum. It's a natural substance found inside turmeric. Okay, so here you go. We have as you can see the yellow color against my hoodie. It doesn't so it dyes very fast. Okay, then you can take another container. Let me see where are my containers. And my gloves. I'm gonna wear one glove because I'm out of gloves again. So using the coffee filter, you pour it inside the coffee filter, and you see it starts seeping, and this is the curcumin. Okay, I grabbed it with my hand. Shit. Anyways, it's okay. They're already yellow, so never mind. And you have to squeeze it out. I'm gonna lower my camera. Okay, I guess that's enough to like print half a paper. Okay. And as it's as easy as that. So now you have your dye here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. And now we have to spread it on the paper. The choice of paper is very important. You can't choose any paper. You're gonna need something that can resist being washed. So usually heavy paper is better for these processes. You can use paper like Burger have, it's a brand like Fabriano and all the stuff, Faber-Castell. They have very heavy paper. I forgot the number for them. I can send you the numbers later if you want. But you can use Aquarelle paper, regular Aquarelle paper that you can buy from bookstores or stuff like that. This is what I use here. It's thick enough. You'll find that it's written 300 grams per meter squared, and you want to go for this weight or a bit less. It's okay. But you need it to be heavy so it can withstand being washed and being dipped in water, because you're gonna see we actually dip the paper in water to develop it. So yep, that's that. And you can print also on cotton or linen, but it has to be pure and unprocessed, because if it's processed, the chemicals won't react with the water. I'm actually going to show you really quick some materials you can print on. This is pure cotton. This is the cyanotype. We're going to talk about this later. But as you can see, you can print on on cotton. We actually tried to print on ceramics yesterday. I have it right here. This is a failed attempt, but we tried some wet cyanotyping. This is a white tile, just like the tile here, used for toilets. So we dyed it with cyanotype. We're still trying the turmeric one. It's outside. I should get it in. I think I overexposed it. But there's a lot of things you can print on, and of course, you need to try out different exposures, different mixtures for different materials. And if you want, you can come into the dark room, and we can help you out, because there's a lot of different processes. So you can come over, you can choose one, and we can really help you out with it. We're trying today to print on glass, but this is a longer process because we're going to need the gelatin, and this is for another day. I'm not going to be able to explain it here. So maybe one day at the dark room, you can come in to the workshop, the Cyanotype workshop, and we can show you how to print on glass. Anyways, let's get back to turmeric. So I had some ready paper. So this is the paper. Very thick, and it can withstand being dipped in water. So I'm going to just lower here, and okay, you can wash real quick. And usually, what you want to do is when you're spreading your emulsion. Okay, this is called emulsion. What an emulsion is the entire chemical that's going to react to light and that's going to stick to the paper. So, and it constitutes of something called a sensitizer. To my face. A sensitizer and a fixer, or I forgot the name, but there's the sensitizer that sensitizes the entire emulsion to the light, and there's another substance that grabs it to the paper and keeps it stuck to the paper. Anyways, we'll show you here. So you have to dip your brush. Okay, it's better to have a damp brush so that your brush won't suck up all the chemicals, the emulsion, because if you have a limited quantity, you're gonna need every drop. So here you go. Check if it's not dripping, and then you have to spread really horizontally and vertically, real quick. And the nice thing about using alcohol is that it dries really quickly. So like you don't need to wait a lot. As you can see, it's drying up as soon as I brush it. And try to don't do like what I'm doing right now. Try to really brush it evenly. You don't want dark puddles like this one. I just made a mistake here. You want to make it as even as possible, or not. It's really up to you. And I like to brush randomly, get some nice strokes on the edges. It really depends. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want. You can coat just one small piece of the paper. You can coat it all. And I usually keep white borders because I like white borders and I can handle the paper easily. You don't want to really print your thumbs on the emulsion. And keep it as clean as possible. So now you spread it. This isn't the best spread at all, but it's just for show. And now you have to keep it to dry for an hour, and really in a very subdued lighting place. So you don't want it to be in sunlight, direct sunlight or direct light. And in the printing lab, we use tungsten lights because tungsten lights don't emit UV ray, and the UV ray is what's gonna react mainly with all your emulsions. So I'm gonna put it here in my drying area. and then you wait. And then I've actually got a print here. It's not a final print, we're still working on it. But usually what happens is in this process, the edges, you see where you can see white, the yellow here, it should turn white-ish, not very white, but it's going to be lighter than what you're used to, than what you spread at first. So when you see that this is a bit lighter or very light, a lot lighter, you know that your print is ready. So this one obviously is not ready. And at the end, I'm going to show you what you get, the color that you get with this. It's really beautiful. These are not actual prints. These are small test strips we do just to check the color at the end of the process. So we have a book of these things, small pieces, like we spread them on just to see, like to know, okay, and I mixed 1 tablespoon of turmeric with arak, gives me, with 15-minute exposure, gives me this color. So, yep, it's like a reference book. I forgot the name of them. It's you know, when you go. Yes, exactly. Okay.
I was gonna ask, like, you find it important for you to have like a dye chart for while you're doing this process in order for you to understand how the color is blending and how the color is being exposed. But
exactly. Yeah. So you're gonna get everything that's exposed or unexposed actually is gonna give this color. Because when you finish your print, so I'm gonna sacrifice my print for this workshop, even though it's not done. So you can see, I'm gonna dip it when you want to develop it. So, okay, after you've exposed it to the sun, you've noticed, okay, cool, this is lighter than what it's supposed to be. Okay, now you have to go to develop it. So to develop it, you have to dip it in a bucket of water, and I use these. I bought them from any store, supermarket. So you have to fill it with water and something called borax, which is a washing soda, or washing soda is super hard to find here. So you can use baking soda. And I use baking soda. So I'm gonna dip it just to show you how the color changes. So give me a minute so I can fill up my tank. Or wait, I have some more. And then we're using Purex. Okay, and you really, for like, there's no exact quantity, but like just make it proportional for like this size. If you're doing like small sizes, this big, you need like a quarter of a spoon, a regular spoon. Where is my baking soda? Here it is. So that much. Pour it in and mix. You want to dissolve, really dissolve all the crystals. You don't want some crystals, borax or baking soda crystals to end up on your image. Should have prepared this before. Okay. So I'm gonna try dipping my image here. And the color should change, hopefully. Okay. I'm gonna leave it to dry and we'll see it and see the result in a few. I really wish I had some results for turmeric and for anthotypes to show you, but we haven't really been blessed with good weather, so we still didn't have a final print, a finished print. But I've done prints before, and it's really a beautiful color that we get from it. It's a deep brown. So this process is really a lot of trials and errors because you're gonna see what plants you have around. Really try around with a lot of plants, and we'd love to see the results. So please share with us the results if you ever try this process on your own. We'd love to see what you get out of this. So using borax and baking soda is only for turmeric, okay? Just to note, when you're printing with turmeric, when you're printing with petals or anything else, you don't need to develop. You don't need to dip in water. So you spread your emulsion the same way, okay? The same way as you spread the turmeric, but what happens is that the sunlight will bleach out the dye or the pigments that are exposed. So if you have a negative like this one, or a positive, and I suggest you use positive for anthotypes and not negatives, because I keep how to explain it. You're getting so everything that's being exposed is becoming whiter, if you want, which is the opposite to other kinds of prints. So other prints like cyanotypes, when you're exposed to light, it becomes darker. So that's why you need a positive for this process. So when sunlight hits the really light parts, it's going to bleach the pigment, so it's going to whiten out, and everything that's still in the dark, is still in the shadow parts, will keep its actual color. And you don't need to dye it, or you don't need to wash it afterwards. So you can just directly take the print and it's done. You can preserve it by waxing it too. So you just need a wax for this process. Any questions about chlorophyll printing or anthotypes before we move on?
How do you preserve it? Because like I've been reading a lot, and I feel like with chlorophyll, it's so much easier to preserve it because you can use like copper sulfate, or you can use alcohol bath and do some wax on top of it.
Yeah.
With the anthotype, it's like you can actually look at it from like this temporary print kind of point of view, because you can use wax, but eventually it will fade out. So I don't know if you have found a way to preserve it for a bit longer than what it actually, like the shelf life of it is supposed to be. But I don't know, like.
Yeah, we're still working on it. We're not sure. We're trying different stuff, different chemicals, different baths. But it's still a trial process for these actually. We're trying to look into how to preserve them, but when you're printing, you should know that these have they're ephemeral, so they have not a short, they're fairly long shelf life. But with time, it's like fade out. So you have to keep in mind, unless we unravel a new
way
preserving agent to use. But for now, just wax it and keep it away from direct sunlight and humidity, and it should last a fairly long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other questions? So I move on. This is the interesting part. Cyanotype is the most interesting part.
well, actually, before moving on, maybe there was something that you mentioned about what's it called? Fuck, I forgot. I wanted to ask a question, but I forgot. Using a positive. So are you saying that because basically if you have a digital print and you're printing it at your like local book library or bookstore, you're doing it on acetate paper.
Yes.
So are you saying that the image itself should have color, or can it be black and white, and then you're turning that black and white image into a film positive, which is basically just taking out all of the darks and just keeping it into the like shadows and contrast range?
These prints, they're not very color, like they can't render color accurately. It's really a monochromatic print you're doing. So it's one color. It's either pink or green or, so you don't have that range. There's other processes, I can talk about them in a few, where you have more control over color. So you can print color positives or color negatives. But for these processes, it's better to turn your image into black and white and print them on acetate. And for chlorophyll and anthotypes, you need to print positive images. And by positive images, I mean a black and white image of exactly how it is. The image, you print it out in black and white on acetate paper in order to get and you have to tweak a bit the contrast, actually. You have to add some contrast to the image so you can really punctuate the differences in tones on the paper or leaves or anything you're printing on. And you have to do the exact same opposite if you're printing using a negative. You have to decrease the contrast, and we get to that in the cyanotype process.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Well, so I move on to the cyanotypes. Oh, I'm gonna take this as a yes. Okay. So cyanotyping is the process I guess you're most familiar with. I'm pretty sure you've seen it somewhere. It's really the cyan blue images. It's the process used to make blueprints. Of course, you've heard of blueprints. They used to etch, architects used to etch their images on transparent paper, on acetate paper, or on calc, and they used to print using cyanotyping. So that's why they're called blueprints. It comes from the color of this process, which is the deep blue cyans. For this process, you're gonna need the chemicals, two mixed chemicals. Now we have them ready mixed at the darkroom, so you can come anytime and buy them. They're very easy to mix. We give you the powder solution. We explain how to mix, and I explain to you. It's very easy. So, and I have them ready mixed here. There's the mix A and mix B. Do you want me to give you the names of the chemistry we use? For mix A, we use ferric ammonium citrate, and for mix B, we use potassium ferricyanide. Don't be misled by the name cyanide and ammonium and all that. They're very harmless. Sorry, they're very harmless. Ferric ammonium citrate is used as a food preservative, and potassium ferricyanide, you can find it in nature, in rocks and all that. So, so now we give you a powder, and you have to mix them. So for mix A, I'm going to give you the recipe real quick. You can write it down, but we'll have printed bottles at the dark room with all the instructions written down the back. You need 25 millimeters, 25 grams of ferricyanide in 100 milliliters of water, and 10 grams of potassium ferricyanide. Yep, I keep on forgetting the names. 10 grams of ferricyanide in 100 milliliters of water. And now you have two different two different mixtures, and we have to mix them up together to get the light sensitive. So when we mix them together, they become light sensitive, and that's how we're gonna that's how it becomes light sensitive. So, and a small tip: just mix the amount you're gonna need, because they don't when you mix them together, they don't last long enough because they become light sensitive, so they start to clump up, and it loses its sensitivity with time. It lasts like a day or two, so really like mix up the amount you're gonna need for the day. Like, don't mix them up all together. And you need to mix exact same amounts. If you take 3 milliliters of mix A, you're gonna take 3 milliliters of mix B. You need to mix exactly the same amount. So I'm gonna mix a small batch in front of you. Let's go. Where's my?
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a bit. So you mix 25 grams of ammonium citrate with 100 milliliters of water and 10 grams of cyanide with 100 milliliters of water, right?
Exactly.
Does the water need to be at room temperature, or does it have like?
They're very soluble. So you're gonna see when you mix them up, they're gonna dissolve directly. It's not gonna. Yeah. Small tip. This I should tell you this later, but if you want to increase the contrast in your image, you can saturate your chemistry. So instead of using مثلا 25 grams in 100 milliliters, you can like double it. So 50 in 100 milliliters and 20 in 100 milliliters.
Do you also
yes? Sure.
Do you also do a dye chart for the cyanotype?
Yes, you can do a dye chart, but it's very variable. It's really variable because it really depends on the weather. You have no idea how the weather can affect a print. I'm gonna show you actually. I have two prints here. I'm gonna show you another print. So this was done on a sunny day. This was done on a cloudy day. Even though I try to like balance the time out, you can see the difference in contrast between the two. So it really depends on the weather. So doing a dye chart for cyanotype is not going to be accurate every time. So, and even when you're exposing it, you should. Anna, I have a range of timing. I know that I'm gonna get a good image, a good exposure, but I usually rely on the color, and I'll explain that in a few. Okay, so let's see. I need a clean cup, a clean container. So this is my cyanotype. I use it only for cyanotype because it's gonna turn blue, so I'm gonna keep on using it till it turns completely blue. I don't mind. I like the color. So I'm gonna take my two mixtures and I'm gonna lower my camera. Just 1 second. And I use these syringes. I use syringes because I can really dial in the exact amount I need. I bought them from from the pharmacy. You can find them at every pharmacies. Usually they come with a needle, so you can, with a needle on the top, you can remove it and use it. So we're going to start with mix A. It's important to start with mix A before mix B. I don't know why, but that's what I read, and I've done it ever since. So this is 3 milliliters of mix A. And 3 milliliters of mix B. And quick note, when you mix up your chemistry from powder to liquid, when you turn them from powder to liquid, let them settle for a day so that you can really dissolve everything inside, so you can make sure that everything's dissolved. So just let them settle for a day. All right. So you mix them up, you just agitate a bit the container, and then you take your brush, and you can use the same type of paper we used before, Karam Aquarelle paper. So I'm gonna, and Karam, damp your brush so you don't suck up all the, so the brush doesn't suck up all the chemistry, and make sure it's not dripping. It's gonna give you this green lime looking color. Don't worry, after the process it's gonna give it the regular colors. So you have to really like stroke it horizontal and vertically. You're gonna see puddles, so you have to keep on brushing until you don't see any puddles anymore. And you're gonna know with time, every paper how much chemistry it needs. So you're gonna really spread it evenly. You don't want to have a dark spot in the space and a light spot. Like you don't want to have puddles because they're gonna create dark spots, and it's gonna be harder to dry, Kaman. So this is my infamous brush strokes. Okay, and you let it dry. Okay, so you see we have our mix. We spread it, and now we let it dry for a little while. And I'm gonna show you something that I've built here at the darkroom to help me out with my process. I'm gonna move my computer. Because not every day is a sunny day. So we built this box. It's called a UV box. So it gives you, I don't know if you can see it. Wait, let me turn off the lights. So this is a UV box. It emits UV light. So I can bake in my images. I put them in a frame, and I place it inside the UV box. So so I can get prints in like 10-15 minutes. Okay. So let's see. We can wait just a bit for it to dry, and then when it dries, we can we're gonna like try to print something together. Okay, some fun stuff you can do with cyanotypes, other than you can print on fabric. This is printed on fabric. And if you can notice something, this is a troubleshoot I've got. You see these white spots in the dark areas? This is humidity. So I made a mistake, and I exposed this to the sun, and I laid the backboard on a plant, on a bush, and apparently the bush was really releasing a lot of humidity, and it stained the cotton. So I like them. I love the result. I love the white spots. But if you want like an accurate image, you can avoid putting your frames on a bush or next to plants. And the longer you expose your cyanotype, your paper, the higher the contrast, obviously, the deeper the blues. Okay, so some people try to, you can do a lot of different things. One thing you can do, Kaman, is called wet cyanotyping. So you're making use of your emulsion layer when it's wet. So you can take the paper when it's wet. What I did once, I don't know if I can print it here, is you can literally like when it's wet, spray it with water, and I use like the thingy, the spray can. So and I really spray it, and then I put the negative on top and I smudge it just a bit. Everything when the emulsion is still wet, so you can get different looks, weird looks. You can try a lot of different things. I've seen someone try soap, so like the soap foam. They spread it on top, and then they started with a wet layer, then they put leaves, and then they put foam, and then they added into the foam some other leaves, so they got a nice layer of leaves, different. It gave a 3D texture, very interesting 3D textures. Because cyanotyping is a very 2D print, so you're gonna feel it's a 2D print. So you don't get a lot of details in the shadows as much as you want as much as other processes. I'm gonna show you other processes later on. And you can also print on glass. I've already said that. But you're gonna need to boil 20 milliliters for 100 milliliters. You're gonna need 20 milliliters of gelatin. This is an actual gelatin. It's in gelatin form. It's better if you get them in powder form. You can use Jello if Jello isn't very colored. The powder, some Jellos they come with colorant on the side, and you can use this colorant on this the gelatin instead without the color, because it's usually red or something, and you don't want to mix up with the. You can try it. I haven't tried it, but mixing red with blue, you might get a very different result on glass. And I'm not gonna get into glass because it's a entirely different technique. It's very close to wet collodion. It needs like really to sit down and work on just okay. Am I boring you? Everything's going well. Is it too boring? Any comments?
At all, you're so entertaining. Don't worry about it. Keep going as long as you want to go.
Okay. So when you expose your cyanotype, how to know if it's done? I know the range. I know مثلا under sunlight I need 10-15 minutes. In my UV box I need 25-30 minutes. But I really depend on the color. I'm gonna put this in my UV box, or actually I'm gonna put it in the sun, and you're gonna come out with me, and we're gonna see how the paper changes color. So again, I'm sacrificing another paper for this workshop. So we're gonna go out into direct sunlight. Response, just to check if I'm still online.
Okay, we see you now. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So you can see how can you see the color? Is it clear enough? How the blues they're turning dark blue, and how the green is slightly turning into copper-ish. يا ريت حطينا شيء عليها. Stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways, it still needs some time. I'm gonna put it on the UV light. Can you hear me? Or am I still?
And I'll bring it in.
Yeah, you're better now.
Yeah. Okay. Back on. Okay, so Natalie, my assistant for the day, is gonna bring in the image when it's brown. But, this is the color I was talking about. It's a bit brown, yet you can still see the green. I guess it needed a bit like 5 more minutes, but it's almost done. So we're gonna develop this image. I wish I had printed something. It was so stupid that I just exposed an empty image. I could have added a leaf or something, so sorry again. We're gonna develop it. Can you hold this? You can do that in a regular, you just need tap water or distilled water. Actually, distilled water is a bit better. But I'm gonna use regular water. And a small tip, you just dip inside. You wait for it, like you wash it out for like 5 minutes, and then everything that wasn't exposed will just wash out. And when you dip it, the color starts to pop. The blue starts to appear. Okay, you can see now it's turning blue from the original green brownish color. And if you want to accentuate this blue, if you want a deeper blue, you can add H2O2 or hydrogen peroxide. Come in. You can buy it from any pharmacy. You just add a tiny splash. And you wash with hydrogen peroxide. And then you can see where I added hydrogen. It's a lot darker, a lot يصير قريب على الكحلة. So yep, look, this is what when we added it darkened all the image. So it's really up to you if you really want those dark shadows. If you can add a bit of contrast using hydrogen peroxide. Wow, what a beautiful blue.
Yeah.
It's so deep. You see, it's totally different.
Such a beautiful blue.
Yeah.
So, and you can know this is the blue that is used in blueprints. So that's the same color. This is the process that they use for blueprints.
Wow, that's super cool.
And wash out your like change the water in the top every like 3-4 images. لأنه حتصير entirely blue and you won't be able to develop properly. Here you go. Hala, this is an empty print, but we could have added anything inside. You can print leaves, you can print feathers, you can print negatives, positives, screwdrivers, scissors, bottles, caps. And I'm going to show you something we tried yesterday. Is printing in eggshells. Hala, I didn't try it properly, so it washed away. But you can print on the inside of the shells. It's pretty simple. After you've emptied the egg, of course, you can wash it away and try not to scratch away the membrane. There's a membrane inside the egg. You don't want to wash it away because it helps like really grab onto the paint. And I washed it away because I was trying out and I was شطفتهم يعني لقطت النربيج وشطفتهم anyways جبت أجلهم يعني. So yep. So just dry it out properly and leave the membrane inside and paint the inside of the eggshell. And you can stick feathers. Feathers give a very nice result because then they're curved naturally. So when you put it inside, it really sticks inside. It fits inside the egg perfectly. And you can like add some blue tag or masking tape or scotch tape. Actually, scotch tape, since it's transparent, it can give a nice texture next to the feathers. You can try out a lot of stuff. So, and it gives a very, very nice texture, not like this one, Akid. And a very nice blue. It's really weird how it looks like inside. So you can try it out, and we're working on how to preserve them because the kamen they wash away pretty easily, and with time they fade out. So we're working on really how to mix up some other stuff. Maybe we're gonna try using gelatin inside the eggs. Maybe you can stick everything inside it, stick the chemicals, and help it not wash away, just like on glass. We'll give it a try before our workshops. Like maybe you can conserve those beautiful eggshells that you printed. فهيك عم جرب اتذكر إذا there's anything I need to add. But I guess that's it for these prints. هلا I'm gonna go over like really quickly other prints. Can you get me some gum? Yeah. I can lay it down. There's another process called gum printing. This is my favorite process. I love it because you can choose the color that you want. It's a mixture of gum Arabic, so صمغ عربي. You can find it in local paint supply shops, or you can buy. Am I offline? No. You can buy it. You can buy them from any spice shop. They have them like crystals. You can crush them and melt them, but they have to be in liquid form, just like this. Just like this. They usually come. I buy them in crystal form, and I melt them at the darkroom because they're cheaper, and not because we're stingy. Those are some examples of gum prints. So you can see this one is close to Cyanotype because we use the color, and this is the green print. So technically, this print is a mixture of gum Arabic, potassium bichromate that we sell at the darkroom. You can come buy them at the darkroom, and gouache. So you can get to choose the color that you want. And the interesting thing about this process is that you can use the different pigments as long as they're water-based. So you can wash them out with water. What's interesting about this is that you can create layers. So what we're trying to do now is really splitting the image as an RGB. So splitting the red, the green, and the blue, or the CMYK. We're trying out both. The CMY, so cyan, magenta, and yellow. And then we're trying to like print the cyan, then dry it out, and then print again the magenta, and then print again the yellow. So you get a panchromatic image, so all the color spectrum instead of having a monochromatic image. And that's the difference that I was talking about with Diana at first with the negatives. So here you can print negative. The negative should still be black and white, but your coating, your emulsion would be colored different colors. So you're gonna print with cyan, magenta, and yellow, but your images, like you have a black negative with only the red spectrum, a black negative with only the green spectrum, or the blue, or the cyan, magenta, and yellow. Anna, this is my favorite. Personally, this is my favorite process. I'm sorry we didn't go through it in this workshop. Akid, if you come over, you can check it out. I'm still experimenting with it. I'd like to really become more experienced with it before giving any workshop because it's a very vast. It's a very vast printing process, and yep. So ما بعرف anyone has questions, anyone has something to add, to ask, any comments?
So you basically crush the Arabic gum and then you add potassium bichromate to it until it becomes a liquid emulsion, and then you put it on your paper?
No, it has to you have to melt it in water. You have to dilute them.
Okay.
You boil them in water and they melt and they create a sort of a gooey substance. It's a viscous, it's like a very small viscosity, not honey viscosity, but it's liquid-ish yet not liquid. You're gonna feel it. And when you can buy at first from Windsor. They have this is the brand. I think it's called Windsor. Yeah, Windsor and Newton. They have them in liquid form. You can buy them at first in liquid form. Check out the texture and the viscosity, and you can create your own. And that's what we did. I have a huge bowl of gum Arabic lying around in the dark. And again, don't mix more than you need because they rot pretty fast. Because I don't add preservatives. This one they add preservatives inside. So I mixed up a big bowl and عفنوا كلهم and ريحتهم تقطر. So don't do that. don't do my mistake.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question actually, which is how do you know how much each paper is going to take? For instance, for the cyanotype, like let's say, okay, I'm doing my chemistry, which is the 25 grams and the 10 grams with 100 ml of water. Like, how many prints does that give you for, let's say, an A4 paper? Or if we're doing smaller, that means it's what, a 6 by 8?
Yeah, you're gonna know your paper how much it's it's gonna soak up. At some point, you're gonna feel like you keep on spreading it. It's not soaking up. You know that it's done, and you can simply pour them back into your container. Leave them aside. You can use it again. And usually the 100 milliliter formula, it can make up to 25 8 by 10 images, 8 inches by 10 inches.
Yeah.
So you can really spread up to that, or maybe 50. It really depends. Like you can add as much layers as you can. You can dry the paper and then recoat it so you get denser blues or denser colors. So it's really, there's a lot you can do. Like for example, for printing on wool, what you can do, and I simply brush it, but you can soak up the wool. Really soak it up in the chemistry and let it dry, and it can give you the same result.
Yeah.
But you can have like both sides. You can print on both sides, and there's a lot of people who do that. And it's very nice.
Cool. I'm excited to do this. Nice.
Any other questions?
So wait, you did cyanotype on a ceramic tile?
Yes.
How did that go?
Went well. I was worried that it would wash off immediately, but it actually stained. So I'm gonna retry another one with something better. These are empty negatives. They washed up a bit because I think I haven't exposed them long enough. But I'm gonna try it again, and it's really nice. Like I could really see this in my toilet.
100%. بس هلا did you do it the same way as you're doing it on paper? Will you use? Oh, okay.
We're gonna try using gelatin, because it's made for glass. So let's try and see how it works with other surfaces. We're gonna try light bulbs. I'm gonna give you some ideas. You can try doing light bulbs, bottles. And then what we do is at the darkroom, we're very eco-friendly. So beer bottles, we cut them, use them as cups. And we're trying to print on them now with cyanotypes or other types of printing. So we're trying out a lot of things, and hopefully we can teach them at the dark.
Amazing. I'm so happy to see that you guys are doing that. So, and yeah.
Thank you. So.
Anything else? Gio, there's a question in the chat.
Yes. How the turmeric turned out. I have a print right now on me because they're taking so much time. I was trying it out this week, and it was all cloudy. اليوم we got some sunlight. So when we get a final print today, we're gonna post it on our Instagram. You can check the results out on Instagram. I'm sorry, and we tried to make some prints, but the weather was not on our side.
It happens. Don't apologize. Okay. So anything else, guys? Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this. Really, it means a lot to us, and we're so excited that you guys were our first workshop. I'm gonna save the recording now. Hopefully everything works out without glitches. And if so, I'll upload it and I'll post it so you guys can see it. and people who missed it can see it as well. So yeah, thank you very much. And everyone go to Darkroom.
Thank
That's the lesson. That's the number one lesson out of all the lessons. Go to Darkroom. And yeah, if you have any questions, contact one of us always, anytime. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Gio. So much.
Thank you.
Ooh. Thank you for everyone for being here. And inshallah, we'll have some real life workshops soon ish. يعني
Yeah.
الله بيعرف. بس إنه sometime in the near future. Alright? يلا. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.